We are joined by the recently appointed Tottenham manager, Ange Postecoglou. Ange, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Great to see you.
Morning, Ange. Morning.
Great to see you. First off, thank you so much for giving us this time this morning, Ange. So let's get to it. I mean, less than 3 months into the role, has Premier League football been everything you ever envisaged?
Look, I guess so. I mean, my expectations going into it are pretty much the same as every other role I've got into. You kind of understand there's a challenge before you. And, whilst people, I guess, particularly over this side of the border, are fairly infatuated with the Premier League, it's still a football club I need to take over and do, the things I've always done, what I did at Celtic or in Japan or in Australia. But it's been great in terms of me just being able to sort of get my feet under the desk and start working in the way I want to and sort of getting people to buy in. So been enjoyable so far.
Good to hear. I mean, have you had any big surprises so far in the job? Anything taking you by surprise? What's been the biggest challenge, would you say?
No real surprise. As I said, it's still football. I think if you can sort of take away all the general sort of scrutiny that's around, particularly around the Premier League, but in every role you have, nothing really surprising. The challenges are, as I said, as expected. Every time I walk into a role, there's a reason I'm here. If things were going well, I wouldn't be here. That's most managers will tell you that's the reason you come in, and with that, you go in with your eyes wide open and expect it to be tough, and it will be. We're just very much at the beginnings. We've had an encouraging start, but still plenty to do.
And when you looked at the opportunity of Tottenham, what was it? I mean, I'm not just obviously because they asked, right? But what was it about Tottenham that made you want to join them? A lot of people have this perspective of Daniel Levy, of the challenges that Tottenham Hotspur have had, the fact that they haven't won any trophies. You've come in from the background with a lot of noise about what you've achieved at Celtic, and justifiably so, because I think you did a brilliant job. But Tottenham as a challenge, what was it that drew you to them?
Exactly that, Simon. I love a challenge. I've done that through my whole career. I guess every step along the way, wherever I've sort of decided about when to move, and I've usually moved on the back of success wherever I've been, is because there's a challenge out there that really stirs me. As you said, first you've got to get asked, so that's the first thing, and I was asked. Secondly, is you look at what you're going into, and I think the fact that it is, for all intents and purposes, one of the biggest clubs in the world, but it hasn't had success for a very long time, was probably the key driver for me. Because I think when you go into a challenge like that, that should you be able to, implement the things you want to, and, all things being equal, it goes well, you can make an impact and leave a mark on the club you've worked for. And that's what I've tried to do with all my clubs. So that was the biggest attraction for me, the fact that the club hasn't had a lot of success. It kind of is coming off a particularly poor season, even by its own standards, and the opportunity there to create something.
What's the challenge, mate? I mean, when you conceptualise a challenge in people's minds, some people would say it's to win something for Spurs. Others might say to get Daniel's objective of getting inside the top four. What is the challenge?
The challenge is, for me, the same everywhere: to get the team to play a certain kind of football that gives its own fans and punters something to get excited about on a weekly basis and bring success to the club. There's no other reason I do what I do. It doesn't matter where I've been. I want to bring success to this football club, play in a certain way. That never changes. I'm uncompromising in that. And success for me is winning things. But, at the same time, it's not a desperation around just winning something, because I just don't think that's, that gets you sort of the sustainable sort of opportunity to be successful. That for me, it's the roots of it, the foundation of it is just to play the game a certain way, which I believe brings success, but also excites the punters.
And as you rightly say, the challenge is to win things, and Tottenham fans desperately want to win something. But here, after you went out the Carabao Cup against Fulham, there were a bunch of Tottenham fans getting in touch saying, there was no drama, there was no crisis, but they were disappointed that you didn't field a stronger team that might have got you that win against Fulham and might have taken you deeper into the Carabao Cup. Who knows, you might have won it. Any regrets there?
No, and I've been at pains to say, and again, I've had it through my whole career, supporters should feel the way they feel. I'm not going to tell them, to not be disappointed or not. But as I said before, for me, I'm not in this job desperate to win something just to win something. I'm here because I want to create a club that has the opportunity to win things on a yearly basis. And there's a difference, because us winning a Carabao Cup and finishing 10th is not what I think this club's about. And that's not dismissing the Carabao Cup. I want to win every game. Trust me, I was disappointed on that night as well. But that's not the end game for me. It's not about just winning something for the sake of winning something. It's about building something. I mean, that's what's always driven me my whole career. I want to build clubs that have sustainable success and supporters going to every season feeling good about their prospects and watching their team play football.
Ange, we spoke a lot in this show about Conte and what he did or didn't do in his time there. We're not going to talk about him specifically, but he did say, look, this club doesn't have a winning mentality. And then he departed, and that annoyed you greatly,
intensely,
Simon.
Yeah.
And it still does. Ange, what do you recognise around the place now? Is a winning mentality there? You're trying to engender that, aren't you?
You're right. It's not my place to talk about the past or other managers, because I don't think it's fair. And I've often said that until you walk a mile in somebody's shoes, you can't really know what they're dealing with. What I know is that, again, for me, a winning mentality, it's a funny one. I grew up in Australia where we love sport and we want to win everything, and we're a small nation and we're usually doing it as an underdog. So you kind of go into every contest being written off and then, using that in your favour. But I think for me, a winning mentality is just you come in every day and you just want to be the best you can be. And it's got to be born from something else, because there isn't a football club on this planet, there isn't a manager on this planet that does not want to win. There isn't a player on this planet that does not want to win. I refuse to believe that anyone goes into a game of football, irrespective of the odds they're need to overcome, not trying to win. My thing is, it's not just about the winning. It's about playing the game. You've got to believe in something more than just the victory, because everyone wants to win. And for me, it's the way we play. That's what it comes down to. And what I've seen since I've got here is a group of players who are open to that. They've embraced that. It's challenging. It's going to test us. We're going to stumble. We're going to fall along the way. But when we get to where we want to and play the football we want to, the winning should take care of itself.
Talk to me about the fit, Ange. I've spoken about the fit with you and Spurs and you and Daniel. And again, I'll touch upon your predecessor, but I don't ask you to comment upon them. I look at the reality of the fit for you, which is the opportunity for you to go to Tottenham Hotspur, was based upon, it was a mutual advantage in terms of you wanted to manage Tottenham Hotspur. You weren't doing them a favour and turning up and getting a big bag of money. You wanted to manage Tottenham Hotspur and they wanted you as the manager. Whereas the predecessors perhaps were getting big reputations justifiably and turned up doing Tottenham Hotspur a favour. Talk to me about the fit of this particular decision-making process of you going to join Tottenham and the working relationships you have with the key components of it, like Daniel Levy.
Look, I think it's essential, Simon, and I think the reason I've probably I've had success at just about every club I've gone to is because they've identified what they need in the next phase of, whatever that club cycle is, in terms of style of football, in terms of environment, in terms of all those things. And I come out as sort of the last man standing in that process. And when I see that, I know that the club is a good fit for me, because the one thing about me is when I come in, I'm not going to compromise on certain things. I make that clear in the discussions we have before I accept the role. And when the up of the party, whatever that may be, in this case, Tottenham and Daniel decided to go with me, then I knew that they were open to going in my direction. And then it's up to me. After that, I'm going to take responsibility for whatever happens here, good, bad, or otherwise. It's not going to, if I don't succeed, it's not going to be because of something that exists within this club or external factors, because I haven't been able to do what I want to do from myself, and the process for me now is about gaining the trust of everyone at the football club, the supporters, the people who run and own this club, the management, the players, the staff. That's up to me. It's all on me from now on. I think the only thing I ever asked for was that door to be open and to be, I guess, supported, which I have been. And from here on, it's really down to me, because I've accepted the role. I've accepted whatever challenges exist within this football club. I've accepted that, and I'll take responsibility for that.
Ange, what would you say is the ceiling for the club in what is one of the most competitive Premier Leagues for some time?
I don't like ceilings, don't like floors, don't like any kind of impediments that limit anything you do in life, Jim. You know, from my perspective, it's let's see where it takes us. You know, when I started this off 26, 27 years ago as a manager, I left the bank to become a manager. I can tell you that there was probably plenty of ceilings that were put before me then, and I'm standing here today. And who knows? I don't work that way. For me, it's about trying to get this club to the levels where I believe it deserves to be. It's got unbelievable training facilities, stadium support. It's got all the ingredients you'd ever want for a club to have success. My role within that is to try and manifest that into something more tangible in terms of on field and give the punters and supporters something to be proud of. So who knows, mate? We'll see whatever the ceiling may exist. Let's see if we can smash through it.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.